Welcome to Treasure Valley Podcast. I'm Chuck. This episode is brought to you by LowerGentry Studios. LowerGentry Studios is a film production company that specializes in high-quality productions at a low cost. LowerGentry Studios has an upcoming web series titled Canyon County that you'll be able to see on YouTube this December. Subscribe to their channel to get notifications of new episodes of Canyon County as well as new episodes of this podcast. Today I chat with Collin Insley. Collin owns and operates Insley Visual Media, a professional film production company. We discuss working in the commercial film world as well as the ever-changing landscape for the indie filmmaker. Enjoy. All right, we're recording.
Hey.
Welcome, Collin Insley.
Yes.
Okay, you have to be careful because here in Boise, it's Boise
Right.
and not Boise, but
Right.
you're Insley and not Insley.
Yeah, it's like going both ways.
So you have a production company.
Yeah.
Excellent. What do you produce? What do you specialize in?
So to pay the bills, I specialize in kind of a corporate video.
Okay.
I try to take a little bit more of a documentary approach to the stuff that I do whenever possible, just because, you know, there's only so much you can do to point a camera at someone and make them sound interesting when they're talking. But
Okay.
yeah, so I've been doing it for probably about 5 or 6 years now.
Okay.
And I started out in-house at a company in California as the head video guy there, and kind of hit the ceiling and went out on my own. And
Cool.
yeah, it's been crazy. It's been a fun ride.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so this production company is your main source of income.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's scary.
I suppose you got to make sure that you keep business coming in all the time.
Yeah.
But you also do some creative work, some narrative work on the side. And you sent me a link to an LA 48-hour film competition that you took part in. They do the same thing here in the Treasure Valley.
I know. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and that is, they do the Horde, the H48 in October
Coming up.
app, and then they do a Idaho 48.
They just did that, right?
That's usually right around Memorial Day weekend in May, June-ish.
Right.
So, kind of the same concept. My film crew has done that a few times, and it's pretty intense.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the quality of the production that you have was really high.
Thank you.
And I was very impressed with that because it's difficult. So it looked really good. Yeah. It looked really good. And then the other thing is it sounded really good. And I was extremely impressed with that.
Thanks, man.
How did you, and what it was called, We're Elves?
We're Elves. Yeah.
And people can look it up on YouTube via.
Yeah, it's public on YouTube. Just type in We're Elves, WE''RE, We're Elves.
Okay.
And you should find it pretty easily there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you get the sound?
So backtrack a little bit. So it was, my crew was me and 2 of my friends that were all in production in some way. I tend to focus more on directing and writing, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I can shoot, I can edit. I just prefer to hand that off to other people if I can.
Got it.
And then my buddy Zach is a DP.
Okay.
And then my friend James is production sound. So between the 3 of us, we kind of have the basics covered.
Yeah.
And so James just, he has a field mixer and a boom and lavs and all that. And so we knew that
it must not, you didn't ADR or anything.
we did a little bit.
Did you?
A little bit, yeah.
I didn't notice it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's so good to hear.
Yeah, I didn't notice what it was. Did you ADR any of the speech, like any of the lines? And we should probably take a step back because I'm excited to have you on. People don't understand what it is to make film productions.
Let alone 48 hours.
No, people have no idea how long it takes.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that when people show interest in it, and then they learn how much time it takes, and when you go to the movies and it's like a 2-hour film or whatever, it's an incredibly large amount of work. And there's so much time that goes into producing 1 minute of footage.
Right.
We were
both on the front end and the back end, and in just the shooting of it by itself.
Yes. So first of all, the writing takes a long time.
Yeah.
I had my brother Elliot on, and we chatted about the writing process, and he's been writing since he was a teenager, you know, so we're talking like 15 years of constantly writing, and still to this day he's about 50-50. He throws away half of what he writes. Just doesn't even.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah, exactly. He's like built his way up to that. And then we were excited on this. We just shot a web series, Canyon County, and we were excited that we finally like cut down, because we were about, per page, I don't even know, like a couple hours per page of shooting, and we cut it down to like an hour.
Wow.
We were moving pretty quickly. We're gonna have to ADR a lot of things, and that's what ADR is. Just for anybody that's listening, that's recording everybody's vocals after you've filmed it, because there's too much background noise.
Which is not recommended.
No, it's a beast of a process.
Yeah.
But there's just so many environmental sounds that you can't control sometimes. Yeah. So your short film, it must not have been that windy of a day, or he had really good labs or something like that.
I mean, that day was such a, can I curse? Shit show. It was such a shit show. I mean, we got lucky that we did have the right kind of mix of mics to kind of capture the dialogue the best that we could. And for the most part, there's only ever 2 people on screen. For the most part, there's a couple of scenes where there's 3, and that was a little more difficult. But so we had both of our main actors labbed up, and then James, when he was there, it was difficult because he was also the editor. So at a certain point, he had to kind of go and start editing, and then I started recording sound and directing. But
you have to do that if you have such a small crew. It's just a requirement.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
For people that don't understand, if you make a 5-minute short film written and directed and cut together in 48 hours, you don't get to sleep that weekend.
No.
And if it starts on Friday at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or whatever, and then you have to turn it in Sunday at 5 or 6 o'clock, the actors might be able to sleep if they don't have to record their lines over again after you've cut everything together, but you don't get to sleep.
No. And we were actually at a disadvantage there too, because we were all in Orange County, which if you're not familiar with California, it's about an hour south of LA.
Okay.
And so we had to be in LA to get, the prompt and the characters and all that kind of stuff to start. And then we had to drive home to Orange County and then do everything, and then buffer enough time so that we had the film finished and exported on a hard drive, and then drive an hour to LA to turn it in.
Oh, wow. So, they let you upload for the Idaho one.
Oh, that's nice.
You could just email them a file.
Nice. That's much, much nicer.
Yeah. It makes that process, because I'm about 30 minutes away too. Like those little bits of time matter immensely.
Totally.
Yeah. It's so many people just don't understand that pre-production, like if you get 1 minute of footage, that's anywhere from like minimum probably 3 hours of work to
just shooting it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it depends on how many, I guess, like cuts. People don't understand a lot of times when you're cutting between shots, like how many different setups that takes. If you have a conversation between 2 actors,
it might be 5 different shots.
Yeah, exactly. They've had that conversation like 20, 30, 40 times.
And trying to keep it fresh.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But like writing and then all that stuff, the best we've ever been able to do is like 3 hours per minute. But usually it's like, it's probably 5 to 8 hours once it's done.
And out
per
in the
minute.
world.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you do any other plans for any types of creative work?
Yeah. I mean, for starters, I would love to take part in the I-48 stuff, because that's a lot of fun. It's really stressful, but it is a lot of fun to look back on this like crazy weekend that you spent, and then where at the beginning of it you didn't have anything, and by the end of it, you have a film that you can show people, and hopefully they like it. And
yeah.
So I love to take part in that, and then I am writing a lot, or trying to. It's hard. I have kids, but and so yeah, I definitely want to do stuff here now that I'm here in Boise.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And what about your corporate work? What does that look like?
So for the time being, it's a lot of flying back to California for shoots.
Oh, I've heard about you types of guys in the film industry around here. It's kind of a new burgeoning
people coming to live here, and then,
and then just flying back to do shoots and things like that.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
You don't like to spend a whole bunch of time on a plane?
No, and away from my wife and kids and dogs. No, that's.
Here's a tip: don't be tempted to take Allegiant Air because the airfare's cheap.
No, Southwest all the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
I did that once, and I was delayed not by like several hours, but an entire day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we were in the. First of all, we were delayed by like 4 or 5 hours before everybody got in the plane.
Great.
We take off. Like 20, 30 minutes into the flight, there's this shaking.
Oh God.
And then the pilot says we have to turn around
and go back
and land.
Oh my gosh.
So we're in the air. Everybody's cheering when we first take off. Like, oh sweet, we're gonna get to LA, and then the thump, and then turn around, and then the next day they had got a different plane there, and the plane that we were on was like getting serviced or something like that. I'm like, this
Super
is
safe.
a little frightening. So after that, I decided they gave me a giant credit and stuff. Like, here's a
you can come. So,
yeah, but it's like I'm not gonna go on your planes again.
I thought about it because they are cheap.
It's like 50. It's like $50. You can get it like 45. It's like sometimes like 30 something to get there, and then like $30 back. It's like,
but they
ridiculous.
only fly like 2 days out of the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that sucks.
Yeah,
and that is also very scary.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's died yet, but that was a little bit too close for comfort for me.
Maybe shave some years off.
Yeah. So you fly back and do corporate work.
Yeah, cool. Not ideal. My vision for it, because I would like to keep as many clients as I have in California, just because I feel like I've been doing good work and I want to keep on serving them. But I would love to find a couple of shooters at least that I can trust to go out and shoot stuff for me, and then get me the footage and I can edit it here. But
that would be ideal.
It's tough because I've built up a relationship with these people, and one client, for example, is a behavioral health and addiction facility, and they basically don't want anyone but me to shoot stuff, which is great. Like, it's flattering, but I also don't want to have to fly back every time.
What is that ongoing need? I'm curious. Like, as far as like the market for those types of videos, are you doing commercials that air like on television?
No, I mean, that'd be great. Not so much that. So with this particular client, it's a company that is kind of the parent company for probably 4 or 5 different facilities that cater to, whether it's mental health or addiction or some combination thereof. And so a lot of the work I've been doing for them is 100% of it is just winds up on YouTube or their website or something like that. But, a lot of it is like client testimonials, people that have been through it and experienced or had a good experience there, and they want to share their story. And that's where I get to do kind of more of a documentary style approach to things.
Oh, cool.
I'm in the middle of a project right now for them where they're revamping pretty much all of their websites. And so they need a lot of new video content for whether this is what we do, this is where we are, this is, these are our facilities. So it's a lot of very kind of corporate talking head, fill in as much B-roll as you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's there are quite a few people. I mean, I don't know if you've gotten into the groups on Facebook here.
A little bit, yeah.
There are a lot of people that are trying to to build that market up here in the Treasure Valley.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful it is yet, as far as finding those businesses that want to create that video content. I would imagine in a bigger metropolitan area that would just be a given, because more people are maybe looking online for that type of content to be sold. Or did you?
You'd be surprised.
So you came through, and did you make these contacts for your business and then basically make sure that they understood they needed video? Is that how? I'm curious.
So, no, yeah, that's a great question. My experience with it, and everyone has their own experience, but my experience has been that I made really good contacts at the full-time job where I was the in-house video department.
Okay.
And that specifically was at a company where there was a lot of turnover, a lot of people coming and going. And so...
so good management.
Great.
Solid.
Just the best.
I've never worked at any place like that.
No, it's unheard of, right?
High turnover.
Yeah,
good
crazy.
Gravy.
But so a lot of people came and went, and people remembered, oh, there's that guy that did video. I should reach out to him and see if he does freelance work.
Okay.
And so with this, it's called New Vista Behavioral Health, the company that I've been doing a lot of work for. They hired a marketing manager who I used to work with at this other place, who shall remain nameless. And she'd reach out to me and said, hey, do you have any interest in doing stuff for me on the side? And I said, absolutely. And but even then, even if you are cold calling people, even in Southern California, which is, there's more production there, but at the same time, there's a lot more people that are doing it. So you still have to communicate the value of it, and why you should pay for good video. And even if you explain it well, people don't necessarily always connect the cost of it and the value of it.
That I would just about imagine has to be extremely difficult to explain to businesses. Like I said, this is not an area that I've ever delved into. I teach, which gives me summers and gives me, like long breaks and things like that to be able to do this as a hobby, something that I enjoy. But it's a very time-consuming hobby,
and expensive,
and it is expensive to do this hobby. But when you're coming to a business and you're like, well, let me produce video, and they don't understand that 1 minute takes all of this time in the background and all of these extra people.
Right.
So with those successful clients, maybe a bit of advice for people if they're, I don't know if you want to be setting yourself up for more competition in the Treasure Valley, if you're trying to stay here and not fly back and forth.
First off, I don't view it as competition.
Okay.
It's just, I think for me, so there was, to backtrack a little bit, the reason why we moved here in the first place is...
We have to talk about the California invasion too, because you're a part of it.
I
no,
know.
I'm not native Idahoan.
Right.
I've been here. This is the longest I've lived anywhere in my life. I've bounced kind of all over the country. But coincidentally, I moved here from California.
Oh.
So I lived in Sacramento area for like a couple years. I didn't enjoy the lifestyle there because it was so chaotic. Yeah. But one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand, especially because I grew up I grew up kind of all over the place, but I went to high school in a really tiny town, and sometimes like smaller areas. This is my own personal belief. They don't have that entrepreneurial spirit, and in California,
it's
people
throw a stone, you hit an entrepreneur.
People have it
all
over the place. And so this like drive, there's a huge amount of drive there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's good for people to be coming, and it's not like if they come from small mountain areas or something like that to the big city of Boise or Nampa or whatever, or Meridian, and they don't necessarily, they're coming here and they're trying to vie for jobs at Simplot or whatever employment, versus people that are coming and you are living here and then taking the funds that you're producing in California
and bringing them
and then bringing them in here to Idaho. It's like a net increase.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but at the same time, so we moved here almost purely for practical reasons. It's too expensive to live in California, especially with kids.
I bet.
Especially where we were in California. But also selfishly, part of me saw Boise as a market where it's got this weird, I shouldn't say weird, it's got this great mix of, like, it's this completely metropolitan city with all kinds of culture and art and interesting people and lots of great stories to tell, but there's not necessarily a huge infrastructure of film there,
Yeah.
And so I kind of saw it as a place I can go to maybe be able to either do something or bring something that I wouldn't necessarily be able to easily do in California, just because there's such such a wide array of people in California who do what I do and want to do what I do. So I lost the thread of that a little bit.
You were going to talk about creating what to do to give the businesses the value of the video production to their business, because they do see that high price tag, and then they're probably like, what?
Yeah,
I got an iPhone, I can do this myself.
Yeah,
good luck.
Yeah. I think it comes down to being able to spit out some numbers to them, basically. And by that, I mean like stats.
Yeah.
Whether it's, video retains your audience attention by X amount % compared to a blog, or it drives this percentage growth versus, whatever you're doing now. And then specifically be able to point to maybe competitors of theirs, maybe not even in Idaho, just maybe say you're working for, just to take an example from my clients, a behavioral health or addiction facility.
Okay.
And be able to point to, okay, well, this company in California, and granted they're different markets, but they're doing these, kind of highly produced videos, and they do X amount of revenue per year. What are you doing? And if you were to be able to spend maybe not that much, but maybe a little bit more than what you're doing right now, do you think that might be a net gain for you? Do you think that would bring value to not only your company, but also the people that are looking at your content? And are people looking at your content? How can we get them to look at your content? I think video is more than ever. It's the way.
Yeah. I was in a discussion about that recently with a fellow filmmaker, and we were kind of looking at the history of music and versus video, and like the MP3 came out with like 90s or something like that. I want to say, and then all of a sudden you could just get access to all this music via the internet, and it was
devalued it.
Yeah, it devalued it quickly, and then the record companies were extremely stubborn about trying to control that, and obviously like you have like the Metallica thing and like going after lawsuits against people or whatever. And it's kind of funny that on the video end, you had Netflix kind of jump. They beat, I don't know the timing on this, but it feels like my Spotify account came right around the same time or even after my Netflix account. Like, and I don't know that, I don't know the timing on that, but it had to have been, it feels to me like it was relatively close. If you think about the fact that the streaming video, the point that we could do that versus the streaming audio, it's like there's there's not a lot of information in audio versus video, and
Right.
it's
a much smaller barrier to
yeah
to get to.
And I think I don't watch much I watch a lot on Netflix. I'm trying to get into YouTube more. We're trying to do a web series on YouTube, but YouTube is it's crazy.
Yeah. There was a stat that I heard recently that it's something like over, I can't remember whether it's measured in like time or like file size, but the amount of video being uploaded to YouTube every single minute is more than like anything that we've ever been able to measure. It's crazy how much content is out there.
And that's got to be a lot of hard drives somewhere in
whether it's Silicon Valley or wherever.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
We were talking. I was talking with a filmmaker about that, and we were obviously trying to figure out like a step forward towards success in this current paradigm, and then how that compared to like 20 years ago on what you would have to do.
Yeah.
And now there are no barriers, really.
Zero.
To get
just
your stuff out there.
Creativity.
Yeah. I mean, you the days of, and it's really frustrating when you're trying to get into film festivals.
Yeah.
Right now, have you ever submitted any narrative content to film festivals?
Yeah.
That's kind of a joke. I mean, there's some really good film.
Great ones.
So there's one actually in Twin Falls. That's really solid. It's called Sandwiches.
Okay.
And then there's some local ones here too. There's a little bit going on there. Apparently something happened to the Boise Film Festival. I'm not quite sure what happened. Yeah, they were scheduled to be on, and now I guess they're off for. I don't want to talk. I don't know what happened.
Not good.
And then there's Sun Valley Film Festival, and then there's the Treefort Film Fort. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Treefort?
I've heard of Treefort. It's the music festival, right?
Yeah, and then they do a Film Fort thing. But
so
anyway,
it's almost like South by Southwest, where it's like music and film and
everything,
all the culture, all the art.
Exactly.
Cool.
And they got a ton of music, but then they have a film component into that too.
And that's in Boise.
That's in Boise. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's pretty
can't
slick.
Wait.
Yeah, you got to get tickets for that one.
Yeah.
But that film festival thing, you hear when you're a creative person, you're trying to get your narrative films out there. You always hear about like the Kevin Smiths or Christopher Nolan and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's going to look like that anymore. I went to the Sun Valley Film Festival. Our content didn't get put in there, but they had one of the Duplass brothers on there.
Those guys.
Yeah, and so it was so he was talking about like his initial outing into like Sundance or something like that. It came on like a VHS tape.
Yep.
And so he was talking about that story, and then I looked into it because he started there.
Yeah.
Like he started at that point in his autobiography, and then I looked into it, and he and his brother had been funded for a gigantic project already. So they knew someone.
Yeah.
To be able to get into that.
Right.
But he cut that out of his like presentation
right
in front of the group of people.
Well, it looks better. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but we were talking about like what it's going to look like moving forward, because I don't think that avenue, like film festivals, I see now as being like something fun that you might be able to get your film shown at. So you want to be very careful about how much money you spend submitting to those film festivals.
You have to be selective.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just going to be dropping $50 to $100 over and over and over again for several rejection letters. Because if it's a big one, the chances are they already have certain content picked out.
Right. There's only so many slots they have to fill.
Yes, exactly. And even at the one in Sun Valley here, all the Idaho films, they put in a trailer on Sunday after they tore everything down.
No way.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I know. And so, and then they get all sorts of stars and high level people to like come and do talks and things. And then they show all of their content in Sun Valley.
Right.
So it's kind of like a mini Hollywood event.
Well,
and
it's
then
like the whole like Bruce Willis, Demi Moore set, right?
Yeah, but
from
it's
back in the day.
Yeah,
but,
exactly. Yeah. And so those all get featured there. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll change that around. Maybe it's worth the submission to pay for that. But it's like that learning curve, and then it's you hear those stories, and as a content creator, it's like, how do you move forward? Right. How do you get your narrative content? How do you build an audience for that? And right now, it's kind of the Wild West in video.
Yeah, no, that's the Wild West is definitely the way to put it, for sure. It's scary because, I mean, on the one hand, it's great because there's virtually no barrier to entry. If you have, like, if you look at that movie Tangerine, shot on an iPhone, won Sundance. Like, you can make a movie on your phone if you know how to tell a story. You can do it, but there's so many people doing it that how do you ever stand out? And I feel like you almost have to kind of shift the paradigm or shift your thinking on it a little bit. Where a lot of people, they make their film first and then they worry about trying to find an audience. Yes. I feel like almost you have to start building an audience first and then not necessarily use that to tell your story, but know that you have an audience built in, and then you can make a film and show that audience. And, you know, I think that's how you start to build momentum a little bit, where, you know, even if you're just putting it up on YouTube or something, you know, if you can get, I don't know what the number would be, but a lot of views, you know, that's how you can start to kind of claw your way up and be, you know, show the powers that be, that whoever they are, that, you know, I can tell a story that is going to have an audience, and therefore you can, you know, spend X amount of dollars advertising to that audience, and there's the value, which sucks because you just want to tell a story, but you, like, in order to be able to do it at a level where I guess you feel good about it, you kind of have to think about it that way. Yeah. You know, gone are the days of, you know, the Christopher Nolans or the Duplass brothers or Steven Soderbergh, Sex, Lies, and Videotapes. It just doesn't exist anymore. Which, you know, it's too bad. But here we are. Yeah. So,
and the positive thing about that, the positive spin is, in my opinion, is we got the barrier's low. So you don't have to go out and get a camera and film and all that stuff. You can film on your iPhone. Yeah. But now, I mean, gone are the days, like, hopefully, of like the Harvey Weinsteins.
Hopefully.
You know, where it's just like, I am the mountain that you need to get past in order to get your content out. And I am in charge of this. And I am the bottleneck, you know.
There's a great book about that, actually.
Oh, really?
Called, it's by the same guy that, I don't know if you've ever read, Easier Riders and Raging Bulls. So it's this author. His name is Peter Biskind, I think is how you pronounce it. Yeah. He wrote another book about the indie film world of the late 80s and early 90s. Kind of the Miramax and New Line and all those kind of independent companies. And you're right. It very quickly went from, in the late 80s, where you could, if you had enough, you know, chutzpah and talent, you could get a film into Sundance and you could get distribution and you could build a career off of that. It very quickly became, thanks in large part to Harvey Weinstein and the Miramaxes and those companies, it became a lot more of a bottleneck, like you're saying. And it became a lot more about the bottom line, about, well, this film sold for X millions of dollars at Sundance, so therefore we want more of these kinds of films. It's the Pulp Fiction thing, you know. Pulp Fiction blew the door off the independent film world, and then you started to see a lot of Pulp Fiction imitations. And it, you know, I think that you wouldn't have had Boondock Saints without Pulp Fiction.
Really? A lot of similarities there, you think?
Yeah. That's a whole other thing. But
we can get into movie critiques. I think that's totally 100% fair. Yeah. Boondock Saints.
Troy Duffy. What a clown.
Yeah, I wish that it were still true that you could do those things, but at the same time, like, get into those places and get your film shown at one of those events. But and then to see it like here in our state, see that same bottleneck kind of occurring.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
It's
but
money. It's purely money.
It's, everybody.
It's follow the money, unfortunately,
And it's, I mean, I think we just have to accept that truth almost, because I mean, if you look at what you're doing, like, I mean, I bet there are some commercial products that you kick out and you're like, oh man, that felt really good. But, versus creating your own content.
Right.
I mean, like I said,
it's apples and oranges.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're going to do what you need to do to pay the bills and kudos to you to at least being able to work with a camera for a living.
I mean, there have been some some scary months where it's like, I don't know how we're going to pay rent this month, but that's also a large part of why we moved here too. We would love to be able to buy a house one day.
Oh, okay.
And that just was not ever going to happen in California, which is fine. I was born and raised there, but
okay.
You have to do what's best for your family at the end of the day. And we saw Boise as a good spot, not only for us, but also to be able to hopefully set our kids up to be able to thrive in life too. Where it was going to be very, very difficult in California.
How long have you lived here?
We moved here in August.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You just moved here?
Yeah, we got here August 1st.
Oh, wow.
And then I was on a plane back to California on August 10th, and I flew back on the 18th. And
so you spent like 2 weeks here.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, I thought I left the bad air quality behind me.
Well, what's great? So
it's usually like really good air quality here, but
no, I mean, I know that a lot of it is from fires in other states, but when I flew back to California, so this was August 10th. There's all these, basically the entire state's on fire.
Yeah.
And I was flying into John Wayne Airport, which is in Santa Ana, and there's a big fire in a city called Corona, which is just over the hill, basically.
Okay.
And as I was flying in at night, I could see the hill on fire.
Oh, wow.
It was scary. It was really, really scary. But, in some ways, it almost kind of validated the decision. Got out at the right time, basically.
Yeah. I lived in Redding, California for about a year, and I have some friends there. They get out of their houses and stuff in time with their animals, but that is nuts. It gets pretty intense here sometimes. Like I said, I've been here for 10 years, and this is not the smokiest.
Right.
It has been.
Right. Every state has its wildfires or whatever.
Yeah.
Hurricanes.
Some type of disaster.
Some kind of natural disaster.
Yeah. Or if you're in the Northwest, it's just constant rain.
Yeah.
Which is unpleasant. Or I guess now
I love the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have? Well, I'm suppose you haven't yet since you've moved to Boise, but have you visited like Portland, Seattle area previously?
So, that's interesting. So actually, so it's me and my wife, and we have a daughter, and my wife has 2 stepkids from her first marriage.
Okay.
And then her ex-husband has recently or since remarried and also has a baby, and we all moved up here.
Okay.
We were all on good terms and we're all friends. And we had been talking about getting out of California for a number of years, but neither parent wanted to go anywhere without the other, so that the kids could all come and everyone would be here. And so we looked at Portland actually as a place to live. And we thought about Seattle, but that felt kind of more of just like a lateral move.
Seattle is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I was trying to figure it out, and I think it's the tech boom.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
and now you're seeing it come here too,
because the salaries are so high.
Yeah,
who can afford those big places? It has to be the tech people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we checked out Portland actually, and didn't love it.
Yeah.
I think it'd be one thing if we were just a young married couple and, didn't have to worry about kids. But, there's certainly a lot going on there. But we just didn't love it for our family.
Portland has a vibe. to it.
Yeah.
I grew up, like I said, I grew up everywhere. So I lived in Beaverton for a while, which is just outside of Portland. Right. You can take the Max into Portland from there. I think now. Yeah. But I've never been, I've been to a lot of different cities. I've never been to a city like Portland.
That's for sure.
There's none.
A distinct vibe there.
And it's very fun to visit. Because
I would love to go back and visit and spend some time there, but I don't know if I would want to live there.
I know some people that are from Portland they've bounced around. I think they're going to end up landing in Arizona.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Yeah. Mountainous Arizona, because they miss the sunshine or they haven't had it. It's just like vitamin D deficiency. Right. You don't realize you have it until you get in the sun. You're like, oh, why do I feel so much better?
So good. Yeah.
I don't want to go home. No, I really like it. I think I don't know if I could move back just because of the rain, but it's got a different vibe. And I'd love to bring one of those Antifa people. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
I have, yeah.
I'd love to bring someone. I don't know if there are any in Boise, but I'd love to chat with one because I had last time I went to Portland, I had a super interesting conversation with this guy that there was this death metal concert going on at this like cider house. You know, of course, it's
cider
Portland.
And death metal. Yeah,
so
goes
like
well together.
you have everybody like sipping cider in like one area, and then there's like a death metal concert like back around, and you can kind of hear the music in the bar, but not really. And so these guys were all getting pumped up to go like beat up Nazis. Like there's a huge thing in Portland right now with the Nazis and the anti-fascists. Yeah. And so I'm chatting with this guy, and there was just like this cognitive dissonance with. I'm like, how do you justify like hurting people based on their belief system or who they are?
Right.
You know, I'm like, this is the Nazi, the fascists or whatever, like they want to institute like control over people. And your answer to that is to institute control and be intolerant. Yeah. And he's like, well, that's just the way it is.
It doesn't have to be though.
And I'm like, well, I don't understand, but they're really an aggressive group.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously like fascists are pretty aggressive and
terrible
and terrible people, you know, but it's so interesting to see that. And it's all just kind of like coming to this head in Portland of all places.
Yeah.
It just makes sense though, for some reason. Like, I don't know why it feels right that it would be Portland, Oregon where that's occurred.
There's a feeling in the air there. It's just like I know what you mean. It's almost like electric.
You go and buy one of those Max tickets. I remember the last time I did it, and then I'm on like the train, like going back to the hotel I'm staying at, and it's just full of all these homeless people with like their bags.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they didn't pay. They couldn't have paid.
No.
Nobody's policing any of the stuff. And I mean, that's fun. It's just kind of like live and let live for the most part. Unless you're fascist or anti-fascist. Those two are in battle.
Yeah.
But I think most of the people just kind of like walk around it. And,
right.
That's going on today.
I mean, you almost kind of have to at that point.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was kind of a tangent. Yeah. But so you're setting up your business here. You're flying back and forth. I do want to have you kind of, because we've touched on it a little bit, but it would be good to get some advice out there for people that are looking to do this in the Treasure Valley. And like, what are you going to do to try to build some business here for your film production? Like, what do you have a map yet? I know it's been a couple weeks.
It's been a minute. No, I mean, I do have a little bit of an advantage in that I've got a friend from school, film school, who lives here. We're actually renting his house from him. But
sweet.
So he is in kind of marketing and film, so he knows a lot of the people.
Okay.
Whether they're at creative agencies or marketing agencies or even just business owners.
Yeah.
He knows a lot of people here that either need video or don't know they need it yet.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping
warm calls.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So I'm hoping that there'll be at least a bit of a market to start. I've also been meeting with production companies around here to kind of just get my foot in the door and just start meeting people and working here as much as I can, so I don't have to fly back a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I've I've met with the folks at Frontrunner Films. I've met with some smaller kind of one-man band operations, and just it's been nice to kind of meet people and make those connections and network, and hopefully I'll be able to start working a little bit here. So, but yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be just meeting people. I'm definitely going to be going to some of those Connect on the Deck events at Jump.
Okay.
Just to, shake hands and
bump into the
exactly.
And there's the Idaho Indie Filmmakers as
I am a member of a lot of those Facebook
Okay.
groups too. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your stance on, because we talked about price of video and businesses not necessarily understanding, and I know that this has been like a conversation on Facebook and by quite a few people. Where's your stance on giving discounts to get the foot in the door
based on the market?
Yeah.
I mean,
do you feel like there's certain areas where it would be safe to do something like that and then be able to explain to the customer that like this is the initial price, you're going to see the value in this,
right?
Where you would having your experience be like, okay, well, this as soon as I close this deal with this business, even though I'm not making a lot of money on this first one, I know that they're going to come back for more. Are there certain businesses in your mind that might be able to benefit from that?
Totally.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you can't have the conversation without acknowledging the fact that where I came from and here there are two different markets.
Yeah.
With different expectations.
Yeah.
Even in California, there were times where I was thinking to myself, well, should I quote them this much? This is how much it's worth, but I don't know if they're going to go for it. Because at the end of the day, you still want to work. You still want to get that contract and get that client, with the hopes that, once they see the value, you can go, well, this is how much it actually should cost. But yeah, I feel like with here specifically, especially for kind of smaller to kind of mid-level companies that are maybe just based here, that maybe don't have a national presence, there's absolutely a call for that. Where you have to feed your family, but you also have to make your clients happy, and that is a balance.
Plant those seeds, and
yeah.
There are the more I think about it right now, there are a lot of opportunities. When we were we did like a little bit of trade, not too much, when we were filming our zero budget web series.
Yeah.
This was our third big project. On this one, we didn't just use like close friends and then like a couple of actors. It was like there were like probably about 30, 40 people involved. Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a lot of like asking for volunteers. So to get some locations, we did a little bit of like, hey, we'll film something for you that you can check up online.
Right.
We'll give you a day, and then you just let us film here for a day, like tit for tat type of thing.
That's a great way to go about it.
And yeah, the people were pretty, but obviously we didn't there wasn't any price tag associated with it, and then we started thinking like, there are a huge amount of opportunities. Just you came from Boise here, right? And I'm in Nampa.
Right.
I'm kind of on the outskirts of Nampa-ish. And just down the road are all the vineyards.
Right.
In the Snake River Valley. Yeah. And they're premium vineyards. Like the wine here is stellar.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah. And beautiful too, because they're right on the Snake River Valley.
Oh, perfect.
And when I was in California, I visited Sacramento's not too far from Napa Valley. So I would go there, a couple times a year just because it's really nice and it's fun. And if you're in California, they give you free samples.
Right.
So it's like, oh, all right.
Why not?
Yeah. If you're normally paying $8 for a drink, go to Napa Valley.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
The dinner's going to be expensive, but not the wine. But anyway, here they have a ton of vineyards, and if you look on their website, there's not a lot of video content, but when you go look at those views, they're pretty spectacular.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think you're right. And they actually get a lot of tourism in from Utah.
That makes
in
sense.
this area
That
because I don't know if you've heard, but like Utah has some very regressive blue laws when it comes to that type of thing. And so a lot of people will come up from Salt Lake City if they want to like imbibe and enjoy themselves in a way that isn't necessarily like
kosher
in that area, to use a religious word.
Right.
So they get a lot of tourism, and I think they're actually building a couple of hotels here in the Nampa area specifically to cater to that market.
That's smart.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's like So the other day, my wife and I were having dinner in kind of the north end of Boise. And
it's a nice area.
We love it there.
Yeah.
And we just kind of happened upon the Boise Co-op.
Okay.
Which I love the idea of, and we took a quick kind of walk around it, and it's just such a cool little neighborhood market.
Yeah.
And I got to thinking, and so I looked on their website and their Facebook and YouTube, and they don't have any video content. And so I just on Friday, I emailed them and said, "Hey, I'm new in town. I love your store. I love the idea of it. If there's anything that I can do from a video perspective or a storytelling perspective, let me know, because I'd love to help you out." And so we'll see if they respond. But it just seems silly to me that they wouldn't have something, even just one like 2-minute, like, this is the Boise Co-op, this is who we are. It would take a couple weeks to make and some money, but it would go a long way towards getting the word out. And I know a lot of people know about it, but if you aren't from here, and there's a lot of people moving in that aren't from here.
So a year ago, just quick tangent.
Go for it.
A year ago, there was a statistic. I was looking this up recently. Fortunately, I bought this house like 3 or 4 years ago or something like that, right around there. So I got in quick, like at the right time. Blind luck. But at that point, like in 2017, they said that like half of Idahoans aren't from Idaho.
Yeah.
And so already then, just last year, it was
and it's
50-50. So what you're
growing.
saying with the co-op, obviously there's a lot of businesses that are doing the word of mouth thing. But for entrepreneurs out there, which as the Treasure Valley grows, I think there is going to be a lot more competition, obviously. And to differentiate yourself, where do people look for business?
Right.
They look online.
Right.
So this podcast, LowerGentry Studios, we were trying to figure out ways to get word out about all our content, but that creative content takes a lot of time.
Sure does.
And so I'm like, well, let's look at Treasure Valley Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't exist.
What do you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff that hasn't even been. I mean, if you look for videos on YouTube that are made in the Treasure Valley, there's a lot of Idaho 48-hour films. And I'm sure that there are people that create a lot of content on there that I'm unaware of, but I'm unaware of it, I guess.
Which is a problem.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know about it, how are you going to find it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, there are some other web series and things like that have been put out by some really good ones that have been put out by Idaho production companies. But as far as the type of content that you're talking about as well, and it's not there.
Yeah.
It is, but it's not enough of it.
Right. And it's such a beautiful area. And there's, from what limited time I've spent here, like, it seems like there's a lot of talent here too. So yeah, it's going to be a battle, I think, to get stuff out there, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's definitely worth it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome to Idaho.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
How can people get in touch with you if they want to use your expertise?
Sure. So I've got a website. It's InsleyVisualMedia.com. It's INSLEYVISUAL media.com.
And it probably has some video content.
Definitely has my portfolio. It's almost all video.
Okay, that's good.
If you want to drop me an email, it's Collin@InsleyVisualMedia.com.
Cool.
And it'd be great to meet some people and get down to work.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming in and chatting today.
My pleasure, man.
And I'd love to have you on again.
I want to see your web series too.
That's December. It'll be coming out in December. I'll be plugging the snot out of that
in
the meantime. All right. Thanks, man.
Cool.